All right, Ian,
Pat.
we have a Patreon, don't we?
We do. Why don't you tell people about it, Pat?
Oh, you go to patreon.com/see podcast and you give us monies and we give you stuff. And that's what you say.
That's about right.
You have a weekly writing that my partner does.
That's right. I got to do one today.
And then we have a monthly Ian Hangout. I pop in sometimes just to say hello on that, but not usually. And then we have you get this topic early, the Patreon poll topic you vote on, and you get the full video for your enjoyment.
Full video.
But our poll this week was a 60-40 split. I was like a 60-40 split because it's a lot closer statistically.
60-40 is nice, yeah.
Nice split. So it's like a 10-point swing in one direction. In second place, do big video game releases get too much hype? 40%. We will do that topic eventually.
Yep.
We're not just keep pulling that back for a reason. And in first place, this goes back to the previous WADA topic and the Super Mario Brothers that went for 660,000. Do you have concerns about a retro game crash due to, I guess, grading and this auction phenomenon?
Yes, I do think there will be a crash, and it's not going to be for everything. I know I've said this before on the podcast. Certain things, I think there is a good chance that Mario's, Zelda's, Mike Tyson's will maintain a high price. I think Mario in particular can potentially maintain a high price. I think all of the chaff, all of the fucking...
The other 90%.
All of the... Yeah,
all the car knobs.
All of the mid-tier stuff is absolutely not going to maintain this value.
Color a dinosaur?
And I think one of the things we can look at and see where that is happening is you look... Because it's one that I've always brought up since we started doing this. It's the Spider-Mans. Stuff like that... Even Spider-Man, as big,
Atari 2600.
Even Spider-Man, as big as Spider-Man is, in the fact that there are collectors who will collect anything Spider-Man, it doesn't matter what it is. We saw those prices start to tumble down as more and more
9,000, 7,000, 6,000, 5,000, down to 1,000. And but that could be more special case because those are way more common than people think. But it still shows you that it could happen to a game like Spider-Man with an iconic character. What can I don't know, is there any hope then for Cabal then if Spider-Man it tumbles like that?
No. And I think we may not have seen the highest prices that some of these go for, but we're already starting to see crazy prices for things that it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, not just for the availability or rarity of the game, but also for the title itself. Like there's nothing to justify one or the other. It's just the fact that, it's from the same era. If they're treating it like a Golden Age comic, it's from the same era. Even though it's an off thing, I should get it just in case, maybe. 20
years from now, 10 years from now, I could see something like a Super Mario Brothers, especially like the first run, whatever, or sticker seal. I could see that holding on to its value and having some cachet. I don't see a lot of these other titles holding anything. So yes, I do think there is going to be a crash. I don't think the money that is currently in this is going to be the money that's always there.
This question, though, is also saying, is this going to also help crash the retro game market in general? This originally came from a Q&A on Twitter where it said, any concerns about greatest stuff, we'll see a major crash of all retro GameCube and earlier that isn't rare, similar to comics. So we're bringing up stuff that isn't rare, that's graded, that we're like, I can say, absolutely, I don't see a sealed, Robo Demons going for a ton of money in the future, or I'm looking at like a sealed Goonies 2. There won't be enough people that are going to care about it. They're talking about also the other markets, but I think they're so distinct. Still that they've pulled up the complete in box market to an extent I did not believe I'd ever see a fucking Contra complete in box go for $1,500 in my life. The one I have on my shelf that I never thought I'd see in my life.
Right.
But I still don't see that happening even for that stuff. I don't see that being sustainable.
No, I don't think that's
because this stuff is a lot easier to find. It's not hard to find a Contra complete in box or Mike Tyson's Punch Out complete in box. It's not hard at all. So I don't see the numbers. You know what I mean? Like I don't see that happening over time.
Yeah.
There's too many in people's collections. There's too many. There's too many of them.
Right. So I really don't think it's going to. I don't think the sealed and graded market will have any impact whatsoever on the
cartridges or
the loose market, the cartridges. That we've seen that they play by completely different rules.
Or even complete in box. I think it will.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's going to really affect that either.
I don't see someone having a Rygar that goes for $8,000 bringing up the complete in box that much.
No.
It'd have to be a very particular thing. Like it's happened with Legend of Zelda. Like I said, like I think I can get $1,000 now or several hundred for the first print run of complete in box, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then, you know, a game like Mike Tyson's Punch Out has gone up a lot, but it's like that handful of titles, which could be the same thing for the Seals. It's going to be like the handful of titles, maybe from each console, depending upon the availability. But they said about before GameCube, which is interesting because that again is a point in time where like, okay, once you get to like the turn of the century, it's a bit easier to find the sealed stuff laying around. It's a bit easier to find that stuff because it was cheaper to produce them too, those disc-based games.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's just easier to find.
Pressing a CD is a lot cheaper than making a cartridge.
And that's where, we're not talking about far long point in time where people weren't tossing those things out. Okay, well, I got to hold on to this stuff just in case. And plus that's a point in time where people probably start to realize maybe I should buy an extra copy just in case.
Right.
You know, that's not too crazy to think about the GameCube era, PS2, where this might be a big game. You know, I
think a lot of that started in. I think a lot of that started during the DS era too, especially with publishers like Atlas. You know, some of the stuff they published on the PS2 and on the DS was hard to find. And so I think people started thinking, hey, with this Atlas stuff, we're going to start buying extra copies. And that's when Atlas realized, hey, we can also just increase the amount of copies we made. So very quickly, a lot of people stopped doing that because they realized they didn't need to.
Yeah. And these companies, even over the past 4 or 5 years, were still printing out some PS2 games.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to think about. But, you know, like, we're going to do another run. Talk about the Yakuza game we talked about. And a couple others, right? They did.
Yeah, for instance, Yakuza did get those second print runs,
which is kind of
weird.
weird.
After the fact,
which is just kind of weird. It's like, wow, the system's dead, but we're going to make more of them and put them out. I don't know if they're talking about though for this question sealed like GameCube games and like graded GameCube games. If that's a thing, there has been a lot of those that I've seen for sale on Heritage Auctions. They're definitely on eBay, but I don't know if that's going to be a thing. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not certain.
I just don't know if someone's going to spend $5,500 on a sealed Pikmin 2. Yeah, I don't know. I do know this though. I do know if you're talking to someone at the swap meet, he's like, yeah, GameCube in general is so meteoric right now, and the price is going up.
It's insane.
Where I actually got up my game list, which I'll go over right now. I have all of like the popular titles on the GameCube. I have all the ones that you expect. Okay, like the Mario parties and the Wave Race and the F-Zero and the Sunshine. And when I started going over the prices on those, I was like shocked.
Yes.
By the and even the ones that were kind of weird. Where are my GameCube games? So
it's absolutely through the roof.
But because it's 20 years later, right? It hits that point in time. Where were NES games?
Yeah, but it also...
Is there something else going on with the GameCube in particular?
GameCube hit when the pandemic hit, so it
was already going up before that, though,
It
right?
was, but the pandemic really skyrocketed it. Like, we're seeing explosion in certain GameCube game prices like we saw on the Dreamcast and the Saturn, and they should not be like that.
Because they're more common.
Yes. I don't think we're ever going to get to those high prices, but yes, so many games, just like literally everything on the GameCube that comes in these days, we have to check. Everything. Eternal
Darkness. That's the one someone said, look at what Eternal Darkness is going for.
That I don't think is going for as crazy as I would think, but it's still up there.
12 bids, $95 with a day left.
Okay, under 150 would be not crazy.
Okay, so 150s you're cut off?
Once a game gets above 150, that's when I think it's extreme.
Okay, I was going to say 100 for some of these games.
It is, but if you do that, then suddenly you're looking at so much of the GameCube library at this point.
But that's my point, though.
Yeah.
It's the only console I've heard of where the most common titles are going for $100. Like, we never saw that for like Super Mario World and you know what I mean, and like Super Metroid. I don't think
the most common titles are going for that, but anything under very common is up there.
Maybe you don't count Smash Melee because that was always a special case.
Melee has always been about $60.
But that's probably a lot more right now. But what about Double Dash?
Double Dash is probably going for probably about 80.
That's a lot for a common
Or
game.
it was. It may be going down.
That's a lot to me for like a common. $72. Oh no, manual $72.
But you look at stuff like Lost Kingdom 2.
What game is that?
It's Lost Kingdom 2.
Okay.
Look at a game like Lost Kingdom 2. Look at games like Go-Go Hyper Grind. Look at
What's Mary Kate going for?
Look at the muscle games.
Mary Kate's only going for $10 right now. Unfortunately, I got that one locked up. How about Odama? That's that weird one.
That's the pinball one. I don't think that goes for much because you need the microphone to play it.
That I've seen at the swap meet 3 times. I bought it the first time.
But it wouldn't surprise me if it's going for a lot because everything is going for a lot.
No, it's not going for a lot. Looks like you can buy it now for $50. I guess. Well, that's not to buy it now with the microphone. Did it come with the microphone? No, you just gotta have it separately on that one. But okay, we're gonna get off topic. But I was just shocked that some of them, even like the Wave Race and F-Zero, were like,
oh yeah, F-Zero's up there. F-Zero's definitely up there.
I just never saw it before another Nintendo system. We just haven't. Again, where all these like the ones that you were bound to have are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like as if they were like uncommon or rare. Mm-hmm. Just haven't seen it. GameCube's that weird thing. It goes back to the point that we always kind of said, like, well, every Nintendo console, for whatever reason, is going to have collectability to it, just because it's Nintendo. It's just a weird thing, more so than the other consoles. Like the popular titles are more collectible because Nintendo's still around and still doing those franchises, except for F-Zero for some reason and Wave Race. Come on, give me a Wave Race on the Switch. It'd be fantastic.
I'd play it.
We'd all play it. But anyway, going back to the graded stuff though, it's always going to be separate, or I don't think it's going to crash the things.
I don't think they're really going to touch each other.
Because again, it has not brought up the cartridges really at all, and only very few complete in boxes. Getting off topic there, but okay, I'll shut up.